welcome back in on another episode of Believe in the Wolfpack. I am your host, Luke Nichols. Happy to join you today. We got week one preview for the NC State Wolfpack against Western Carolina. I mean, NC State's a 32.5 point favorite. It might be like a 3-second preview. Then we're going to get to the full week one preview discussing Florida State's bad loss already in week 0, and then my official picks for the college football playoff and the championship more specifically. But to start it off with NC State, they're playing tonight at 7 p.m. Central on the ACC network against Western Carolina. This is going to be our first look at Grayson McCall and this new look NC State team with Jordan Waters at running back as well, and that kind of new-ish defense. I kind of expect this to be just a showcase game for Grayson McCall and NC State overall, but mostly Grayson McCall. I mean, they're 32.5 point favorites against Western Carolina. There's no reason that this game needs to be close. I mean, if we're up by 20 going into halftime, it's like, all right, we're in a good spot. Like, we're kind of right where we should be right now. If we don't cover this game, I'd be shocked. Western Carolina, nothing crazy. Plus, it is a home game. It's not even like you have to go there. And I do know that all the underdogs covered week one and made it, closer than it needed to be, or closer than what it was expected to be, especially, Delaware State, I think, was like 50-point underdogs to Hawaii. And I think they only lost by like 20, which they lost by 20, but you're expected to lose by 50 and you only lose by 20. That's not terrible, I guess. It was a close game for the most part, I thought, when I was checking the scores. Admittedly, did not watch that game, but I was checking in on it just because it was week 0 college football, and I was interested. It's football. I'm always going to just have a little bit of interest in whatever it is. But like I said, I'm kind of hoping Grayson McCall exits the game at the start of the fourth quarter, where he doesn't need we don't need to see anything else from him at that point. Hopefully he'll have about 300 some yards, 4 touchdowns. Concepcion has a touchdown or 2 and 100 something yards. Jordan Waters has 80 rushing yards, something like that. I'm just expecting a beatdown. I mean, it should be a beatdown. It's a Thursday night game when you're playing Western Carolina and you're ranked 24th. There's no reason we should lose this game, and there's no reason that it should be close. Now, if for whatever reason we do lose this game, and I don't know, then I'm gonna have a lot of explaining to do. Then the next couple of shows are just going to be all about what went wrong and how that happened. But they play tonight. Some other games tonight. You have Missouri taking on Murray State. That's at 8 o'clock on the SEC network. I am about to check what the Missouri receiver's name is because I don't remember, but he's supposed to be the best in the country. Luther Burden III. Wow, that's a fantastic name. But yeah, that's him. Luther Burden III is supposed to be the best receiver in the country this year. Projected, I think. Let me check a mock draft. I thought he was projected like top 10. Top 5. He's right now projected 5th to the Tennessee Titans. The first 4 picks before him, it goes James Pierce Jr., the defensive end from Tennessee, Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU, Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, and then Carson Beck, the first quarterback off the board at 4. And then you got Shedeur Sanders at 7, and the other Quinn Ewers going 11th, so he's top 15. Emeka Egbuka. I botched that one. The G and the B next to each other throw me off sometimes. But that's the receiver from Ohio State who's been good for what feels like a couple of years now. I don't think there's any NC State guys first round, second round, third. No. Oh, I just saw Jalen Milrow. All right, Jalen Milrow's projected third round. He could help his stock this year. But yeah, Luther Burden the third playing tonight. He may rack up a ton of yards. Kansas plays tonight. Utah plays tonight at 9. They play Southern Utah. They're 40-point favorites. So sure. But before we get into the rest of the week 1 schedule, got to talk about Florida State losing to Georgia Tech 24-21. Going into it, I think Florida State was about a 10.5-point favorite, and they're the 10th ranked team in the country, which hindsight, you're looking at it, why were they ranked 10th? Is it just because they had a DJ Uiagalelei? I think I got that at that time. That sounded right. But is it just because they had him at quarterback? I mean, he was decent, not great at Clemson. He was solid at what was it, Oregon State, and now he comes to Florida State, and they just give them the 10th spot just because they think, because he's an experienced quarterback in college, that he's going to be the sensational guy this year. He couldn't throw the ball. He couldn't throw the ball past 5 yards, 10 yards. He only had 193 passing yards. Now, the Georgia Tech passing offense was equally bad, but their running game was fantastic, and their defense played very well too. I mean, I saw the entire first half of this game and then bits and pieces of the second half. That entire first half, I think they went in. Yeah, they went in the halftime tied 14-14, but it just had that feeling that Georgia Tech was going to win. It had that feeling that they were the better team. Like, their running attack was much better. Their defense was much better. They just could not throw the ball. If they knew how to throw the ball, if they understood the forward pass, this probably would have been a 10, 14-point win for Georgia Tech. They just couldn't complete any passes downfield. So, I mean, and looking at that, if Florida State plays a team that can run and throw the ball, it's a crazy concept, I know. I don't know. They might. Who do they play? I think they play Boston College this week. I'm pretty sure it's Boston College this week. Yeah, it's Boston College Monday night, and they're still 16.5-point favorites. So Boston College isn't, sensational by any means, but neither was Georgia Tech. So, I mean, just watching that game, it felt like Georgia Tech was a decent team, but it looked like Florida State was just greatly overrated, just wildly overrated. As 10th in the country, they had no business being 10th. I think Missouri is 11th. You put Missouri up against Florida State, I think Missouri would be the clear favorite in that game. I think they would have the clear edge as well. Even Utah's 12th. I think Utah's going to be good this year. I'm surprised they're 12th. I might have them in the playoff, but we'll get to that in a minute. Some other games after that week 0. You got Oklahoma opening up against Temple in Oklahoma on Friday night. And then the first game at noon at that neutral site, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's kind of a neutral site, but it's in Georgia. It's at Georgia Clemson, so it's not too much a neutral site. That's going to be a great game. Georgia is 13.5-point favorites. That feels like a lot going up against the 14th team in the country in week 1. So we'll see what happens there. And then you have Penn State and West Virginia. Penn State going to West Virginia. I feel like every time I've heard someone talk about this game, it's been about how look out for West Virginia in this game. And the amount of times I've heard look out for West Virginia, they're a sneaky good team. They're an underrated team. It makes me feel like Penn State is being overlooked. And I'm not a Penn State guy by any means. I think I talked about in the last episode or two about how they're going to make the playoff and then lose first round and then extend James Franklin because they can never win the big game. So not a Penn Stater by any means, but I just feel like every single time I hear about this game, it's all about West Virginia being underrated, and that raises red flags for me. So for this game, I'd probably go. I guess I'll just go through some picks for these top 25 games. I'm gonna go Georgia in that first game. I think it'll be a little closer than the spread shows, but I think Georgia might be the best team in the country this year. So, and then Penn State, West Virginia. I'm going to go Penn State just because I'm actually tired of just hearing about how West Virginia could be. And we're going to be watching game day right before all these games kick off, and they're going to get to the picks and they're going to get to Penn State, West Virginia. And you're going to hear Desmond Howard or Kirk Herbstreit say, "Oh, I know Penn State's coming into this, but you got to look out for this West Virginia team. They're an underrated team. They could surprise some people here. I'm going to go West Virginia." And then everyone's like, "Ooh, wow, can't believe you did that." And it's like, it's not surprising. If you just listen to anybody talk about this game, there's probably a preview for this game that says, "Look out for West Virginia." It's getting a little too much to where they're kind of forcing you to think West Virginia, and then Penn State might come out and just stomp them. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm expecting there. You got Iowa against Illinois State. Iowa, maybe they have an offense this year with Cade McNamara. I'm not going to expect it. I saw their punter is on the Bears. Their punter from last year is on the Bears this year because of Hard Knocks. He seems cool. He was their best player last year. Iowa is a hilarious team because they can't do anything on offense, but they're still good because of their defense and their special teams and just how elite it is. So they're always they're not a good watch by any means, but it's always just funny checking in and seeing, oh, cool, Iowa is up 9-5 and like their time of possession is 2 minutes, but they're still going to win, and they'll probably get like a punt return touchdown. You got Tennessee taking on Chattanooga. I think kind of like NC State, how NC State plays Tennessee next week. Tennessee playing Chattanooga here. They're 38.5-point favorites. This is pretty much just a warm up game to get. I had his name down. You got to get. I am a late. I had it. The Tennessee quarterback. I am a Leva. Just get him warmed up, get him feeling comfortable, because then next week when you play a real team like NC State, they got to be ready to go. Or if they're not ready to go, I'm fine with that too. Oklahoma State playing South Dakota State. This is for sure an upset watch. Just like North Dakota State and Colorado. Tired of hearing about Colorado already, but if North Dakota State can upset Colorado and Shedeur Sanders and Dion, oh man, next that discourse is going to be great. Terrible, but great. But Oklahoma State playing South Dakota State. Oklahoma State should win this game, but they're only 9.5-point favorites against South Dakota State, who is that FCS team. So that would be cool to see. See what are they? I can't remember. They're like the Jackrabbits. That's what it is. Yeah, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Great name. Ohio State and Akron. I mean, come on. It's Ohio State also. I got Ohio State, Georgia, and Oregon as my best teams in the country this year. Not in that order. If I had to put them in order, I'd probably go. I'd probably go Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State. Yeah. Yeah. But Ohio State playing Akron, they should not lose. Texas against Colorado State. Once Texas kicks off, I get it. They're going to be good this year. They're the fourth ranked team in the country. They still have Quinn Ewers. They still have a very good team all around. Once they kick off, we are officially on Arch Manning watch. We are officially on Arch Manning watch as soon as that kicks off. The second that Quinn Ewers throws a pick or comes up hobbled or makes a bad pass or something, those Texas fans are going to be clamoring for Arch Manning. They're going to see that 16. I'm pretty sure he's 16. They're going to see that number 16 sitting on the sidelines right after Ewers misses a read or throws a pick or whatever, does something bad. And they're going to be thinking, like, we got him there. We got him right there. We could just throw him in and see what he's got. So then that first week, I guarantee it. Texas is going to lose a game at some point this year. When they do, that following week is going to be all Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers discourse about who should start, who's better, should they give Arch a shot, is he ready? He sat his first year. It seems like he's ready to go. Ewers doesn't have it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. But it's going to be nonstop. It is going to be nonstop. As soon as Ewers makes a mistake, it's going to be, should they put in Arch Manning? He's going to be on just the tightest. I mean, maybe for the coaches, he's not going to be on the tightest leash ever, but for the fans and the media, his leash is about yay big. Yay big. Then you got Miami and Florida. I might take Florida in this game. Not gonna lie, I get it, Cam Ward, but like had some turnover issues. He's always a fun name. He's always kind of good, but he always makes bad decisions. And it's in Florida. Well, duh, but it's in Gainesville. There we go. It's in Gainesville at the University of Florida. So I'm gonna take Florida in this game. They are an underdog. Miami's got a 2.5 point favorite, but I don't know. This feels like if they put Florida as the favorite in this game, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like if it switches the last second, would not be surprised. Alabama against the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. As much as I would love to see Western Kentucky win because of my dynasty with them in college football 25, that I did end up leaving them because I was like, you know what? I need a fresh start. Can't get it done here. Then I went to Syracuse and crushed it there. Then I went to Texas A&M and crushed it there. Then now I'm at Florida and I'm crushing it there. And gotta say, it has nothing to do with my recruiting or even how good I am at it. It is all because of the Arizona playbook. That Arizona offensive playbook is a cheat code. It's insane. I was actually planning of just restarting a dynasty of my coach right now, Tungsten Ballringer. I just retire him, start a new one, and use one of the worst teams and just use the Arizona playbook just to see if I can go undefeated. Because I'm pretty convinced that I can. That Arizona playbook is insane. It's unbelievable. It's the best. I mean, I've used other ones like Auburn's and Ohio State's and Alabama and Florida and like other ones, Oregon's. I've used theirs. Use some other playbooks. Arizona's is the best by far. It's not even close. But as much as I would love to see Western Kentucky win that game, it's Alabama with a new coach. So DeBoer might come out and play his starters the entire time. They might be just on go just from the first snap. So they might win that game by 250 points ish, ballpark. So I wouldn't even think that Western Kentucky has a chance there. It is a bummer. I kind of wish it was at Western Kentucky. That'd be funny if Alabama had to go there for their week 1 game. Ole Miss playing Furman. Then you got Kansas State playing UT Martin. Kansas State, after watching them last year and after watching Avery Johnson in the Pop-Tart Bowl against NC State, if Avery Johnson knows how to throw the ball this year, he's going to be a top 3 Heisman finalist. He may win the Heisman if he knows how to throw the ball this year. Kansas State in the Big 12, I think they have a really good chance to win the Big 12. And I just think Avery Johnson, with as athletic as he is, that's a lot of A's in a couple of words there. He's very athletic. There we go. Very athletic, very fast. So if he just knows how to throw the ball, that read option and that QB scramble on a broken down play is going to be even better than it already is going to be. Listen, he could read, one guy. Oh, if his first read isn't there, maybe you go to the second read, but I wouldn't blame him at all if his first read isn't there and he just takes off running, because he's probably going to be guaranteed 5-6 yards every time. I mean, you put a QB spy on him, but he's going to be faster than whatever linebacker or safety you put on him. So if he knows how to throw the ball this year, look out for Kansas State. They could really surprise, maybe not surprise because they are the 18th ranked team in the country, but they could be top 5 at the end of the year, and he could be a Heisman favorite. You got Oregon playing Idaho. I mean, come on. I get it. Like, these games are going to be tune-up games, and you're just going to crush a team like Idaho to start the year just to get your feet wet and get you feeling good for the rest of the way. But come on. We could have at least done like Oregon State, Washington State, throw some love to the Pac-2. Ridiculous. And then we're getting to the night games now. Texas A&M and Notre Dame could be a very good game. Texas, a 3-point favorite despite being the 20th ranked team in the country, and Notre Dame is 7th. This game is in College Station, so Texas A&M does have that home field advantage, and I am a very known and open Notre Dame hater. So I'm going Texas A&M here. It's going to be a good game, though. That's going to be a very good game. This and the Clemson Georgia game will probably be the best games this weekend. Now, I'm not, even though I was Texas A&M's head coach. I don't know why I picked Texas A&M. That I'm thinking about it. I don't really care about Texas A&M outside of Johnny Manziel. I don't really like them either. They just seem kind of weird. But I do think they'll beat Notre Dame here. Maybe they'll have their best team they've had in a while. If they can start off with a win over Notre Dame, that will be massive. If they lose to Notre Dame, yeah, you lose to the 7th ranked team in the country. It's not a big deal, but it's still going to set you back starting off 0-1 when you could jump out the gates with a huge non-conference win. Then you got Michigan playing Fresno State. That is a game that is going to happen. Maybe Fresno State will give Michigan a run for their money, but it's in Ann Arbor in the first game since winning a national championship. That place is going to be going nuts. You got Arizona playing New Mexico. New Mexico is already 0-1 after losing to Montana State. You lose to Montana State, you might as well lose every other game. They're 31.5-point dogs to Arizona. Arizona, isn't supposed to be special. They're 21st in the country, which is cool, but it's New Mexico. Now, I could just be overlooking all the underdogs here, but a lot of these, I'm just looking at the top 25 games. I'm just running through, who the top 25 teams are and just, getting it out there. And plus, if an upset does happen, which it probably will, then I'll look like an idiot. And that's good for people listening to laugh at me. I'm all for it. Then you got the Sunday night game, which they can do since the NFL is not back yet. You got LSU and USC. This game is going to be awesome. It's in Vegas, so it's not even in Baton Rouge. And will USC have somewhat of a defense? We're going to find out. Who's their quarterback's name? Something Miller? Miller Moss. Yeah. I think Miller Moss might be solid this year. But, LSU is still LSU. But that's going to be a great game. I would not be surprised to see USC win this game. It all just kind of depends on their defense, if they know how to tackle, if they know what they're doing. But I might just pick USC here just because LSU coming off a year with Jaden Daniels as a Heisman quarterback, and they don't have their greatest team this year in my mind. 13th, that's solid for them, but I'm not particularly high on LSU. So if Miller Moss can come out and really carry that USC team, that'll be huge for them. And again, if their defense knows how to tackle, that's the difference maker. If they know how to play defense, they should win this game by a touchdown at least. Because that offense is still there. That offense is there for sure. All right, I'm going to look through some of these conference schedules just to see if there's any other decent games that I missed. Oh, North Carolina, Minnesota will be a solid game. When's that? 8 o'clock on Fox? That'll be a good game. Oh, is that tonight? Oh, it's tonight. That's going to be a really good game. Does North Carolina have a quarterback? No, I don't think they do. Oh, well. But I'm going to look through some more of these conference schedules, take a short break. When we come back, make note of any other good matchups this weekend, and then get into a quick Heisman and college football playoff prediction. Stick with us. All right, welcome back in. And looking through the schedules for this weekend, actually one game that I want to highlight that I knew was happening was Colorado and North Dakota State. I just forgot that it was happening tonight. So it's tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN. We'll see Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Dion against North Dakota State. They're 9.5-point favorites, but it's in Boulder, so they have that advantage, but gotta watch out. Gotta be careful. North Dakota State is good. They're a good FCS team. They've been good for a long time, too. Wentz, he was there. He was incredible. Trey Lance was good for that 1 year, kind of. And even then, they're just always a very, very, very good team. But getting into my Heisman and college football playoff Prediction's going to start with Heisman. Honestly, kind of talked myself into it. I think I'm going to go all in on Avery Johnson winning the Heisman. If he knows how to throw the ball, he's so fast, he's so athletic for a quarterback. He's a sophomore. Teams kind of know what he can do. They kind of understand how good he is and how quick he is. But if he can throw the ball, it's going to be insane. He is going to be so good if he can throw the ball and just maybe not, the most efficient passer in the world, but if he can just, get the easy completions, hit a few deep balls here and there, command that offense, and still use his legs and still be athletic, he's going to be unbelievable. So I'm pretty sure he's a decent long shot for Heisman Avery Johnson, but I'm going Avery Johnson. I don't know. I don't want to go a traditional guy. Like I bet, Will Howard is up there. I bet the quarterback at Oregon that I can't remember his name, Dylan Gabriel. I bet he's up there. He's probably might be the favorite, maybe. But regardless, I'm going Avery Johnson just because it's a fun pick to me, and I watched him last year. He's unbelievably athletic. If he just knows how to throw the ball, he's going to be insane. All right, college football playoff picks. So 1 through 4 are the conference winners for SEC, ACC, Big 10, and Big 12. So 1 through 4, I'm going. Damn. Because now I'm trying to think who would have. All right, so I'm going Georgia as my 1, winning the SEC. I still think they're the best team in the SEC pretty comfortably. Carson Beck is going to be very good this year in my mind, and he's already a projected top 5 pick. I think he kind of solidifies that and maybe even shoots up to 1 to a team that really needs a quarterback. I think they win the SEC. They'll probably end up playing, I think, Ole Miss. I think they'll end up playing Ole Miss, maybe Alabama again, because I feel like it's always a good game between Georgia and Alabama, and that's always fun to watch. But regardless, I'm going Georgia. Then for the Big 10 champion, this one's tough because in my mind, it's a toss-up between Oregon and Ohio State. I don't think Michigan has a chance. I don't think Penn State has a chance. I don't think any other I don't even know. Is any other Big 10 team even close? No, not really. So it's really a two-man race between Oregon and Ohio State, maybe Penn State, but I don't know. Man, this is tough. I'm going Oregon. I'm going Oregon's winning the Big 10 in their first year in the Big 10, which would be just hilarious. And they'll get that second seed in the college football playoff. Then I'm going to go. I mean, I already had Avery Johnson as my Heisman winner, so that kind of means Kansas State won the Big 12. So I'm going to put them third. I'm going to put Kansas State third, winning the Big 12 as a 3 seed in the college football playoff. And then for the ACC, I wasn't going to pick Florida State anyway, but, a week after they lost, maybe this is a bit of cheating, but there's still all this time left. They could bounce back. I'm not picking them regardless. I want to pick NC State so bad. Oh, I want to pick them so bad. All right. NC State will be in. They will be in the ACC championship. They'll play in it. So, by that, they have a really good chance to make the college football playoff regardless. So, do I believe in Grayson McCall? Do I have a false hope? Maybe yes. Do I have a belief in Concepcion that he's going to be phenomenal this year as a sophomore receiver? Yes, maybe. Whatever. Sue me. I think they're going to be in it. I think they lose to Clemson. Yeah. I think they lose to Clemson. Miami, I'm not a believer, honestly. Not a huge believer in Miami. I wouldn't have picked Florida State anyway, just because, like I kind of said, I don't know. It wasn't really there for me. I get it. Uyogalole was supposed to come in and be this experienced guy and carry them again, like kind of Travis did last year. I don't know. I never saw it. And now with their loss, it just helps my case. But with that loss, NC State really has a great shot now. They have a great shot. So the ACC teams that are in the top 25, it's Clemson at 14, and then Miami at 19, and then NC State. Well, yeah, Florida State at 10. Again, still not counting them. So I don't know. Call me crazy, call me biased, call me stupid. You can definitely call me stupid. But I don't know. I mean, and I feel like they have a good shot. I can't pick them. I can't be that biased because I still think Clemson is a very, 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 very good team. But like you look at the rest of the ACC, and it's like Virginia Tech could be good. But again, I feel like I've heard a lot about Virginia Tech being underrated to where I feel like they're not underrated anymore. It's weird how that works. Syracuse, meh. Pitt, okay, could be all right. Stanford hasn't been good for a while. North Carolina, they don't really have a set quarterback. Duke lost their quarterback, Riley Leonard, to Notre Dame. Cal, no. SMU, no. Georgia Tech, maybe. They already beat Florida State. And the running game looked really good, but they can't throw the ball. Louisville, maybe. Could be decent this year, possibly. Virginia, meh. Wake Forest, no. So you look at it right now, it's Miami, NC State, Clemson, and Florida State. And I don't believe in Florida State. I'm not a huge believer in Cam Ward. I think he's going to be solid, but I don't know. We do this every year where we try to, make Miami. Miami's kind of the Texas of the ACC, where we try to call them back every single year. And I don't know. It's tough for me to look at Miami and believe in them after years and years and years of them being back. I don't believe it right now. I mean, you could say the same for NC State about how everyone's like, "Oh, this is their year. They got to transfer quarterback and whatnot." Blah blah blah. But to me, they just have more hope. I'm really believing in Grayson McCall. He was like the 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year. Like he was incredible at Coastal Carolina. Jordan Waters was very good at Duke, and we still have Concepcion. We still have a defense that is solid, decent linebacking core. Got Noah Rogers and Jolly at tight end. And again, like Rogers transfer Jolly. So a lot of this is just I have these high expectations for the team, but I don't know. I just looking at the ACC, I believe in the Wolfpack more than I do Miami, and I think our main, rival this year is going to be Clemson. There's no reason. I mean, we play Tennessee week 2. That's going to be a very tough game. If we lose that game, I'm not going to panic. I may panic a little bit just because it's what you do, recency bias. But I don't know. So regardless, I got Clemson winning the ACC. They'll be my 4 seed, and then the rest of the teams that I have in it. I'm gonna go Texas. That feels obvious. I already had the whole spiel about Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, but I think Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. I think he showed that last year. A few hiccups in that game against Washington, but I still think he is a very good quarterback. I really believe in Ole Miss this year. I have Ole Miss as my 6 seed. I think Jackson Dart is going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be very, very good. And Lane Kiffin is just a good coach. Plain and simple. I forgot about Ohio State. My bad. Ohio State is 5. Then you got Texas 6. Then Ole Miss 7. Yeah, Ohio State's going to be very good. I mean, Ohio State and Oregon, when they play in the regular season, oh my God. Excuse me. That game is going to be insane. Game of the year for sure. I mean, that's the favorite to be the game of the year in my mind. Okay, so after Ole Miss, I'm going Utah. I got Utah losing to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship, but I still think Utah is going to be very good this year. If they, go into the Big 12 championship with like 1 loss, I would not be surprised at all. Would not be surprised at all. I think they're going to be a solid team. So that's my 8. I got Tennessee making it. I believe in Iamaleava. I still think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Regardless, I believe in him. And you have the best player in the country in James Pierce Jr. He's got to be your anchor on defense. He's got to come up for you. He's just got to be just a wrecker on the defensive line and just be in the quarterback's face every single play. Average like a sack a game, which is crazy, but I believe in him. I think he can do it. Already have Kansas State in there. So then I'm already losing. So yeah, Tennessee in there, Clemson. Listen, if NC State's gonna be, I'm putting them in there. I don't care. I'm putting NC State in there. I do not care. Putting them in there. I'm putting them in there. NC State, boom, in there. I'm also gonna go Missouri. Pretty sure that's my 11th team. So I'm going Missouri. I think they're just going to feed Burden. And I know the committee's is 1000% going to be SEC biased. So I mean, yeah, it just feels right. And going off of that, I don't love this pick, but I'm gonna go Alabama as my last team in. I could see them being like 9-3. But again, the 3 losses are all gonna be tough losses. And I think Milroe's gonna be good enough. I think DeBoer's gonna be a good enough coach. So I don't know. I just still and I'm just going off what I think the committee will do. I think the committee, if they only have 3 losses and they're Alabama and they've looked good in the games that they've won, I think they put them in there just because they're Alabama. That's probably going to be the move that upsets some people. And then maybe it'll most likely see. I was going Penn State the entire way because I said, first round loss, whatever. But for whatever reason, it just kind of dawned on me like, all right, if Alabama goes 9-3 this year, there's still a really good chance that they make the college football playoff just because it's Alabama and there's the SEC bias. So if not Alabama, then Penn State. But going back to the top 4, I think the top 4, I think it's really, like I said earlier, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon are the best teams in the country to me. And I think in the end, so I had Georgia as my 1, Oregon as my 2. So that will end up being the national championship in my mind. Because then I had Kansas State and Clemson. I think I like them, but if they have to play, Texas, they have to play Ole Miss, they have to play Ohio State, they have to play even, I don't know, Utah. They could lose those games, even though they, would have beat those teams in the conference championship. But regardless, I still think it will be Georgia and Oregon in the national championship. And I think I'm going Georgia. Last year, they had a really good case up until the SEC championship to be in the playoff and still be the favorite. If they make the college football playoff, they probably would have been the favorite to win the championship last year. I think another year of Carson Beck, another year of experience, Kirby Smart with, coming off last year of losing, has the expectations this year, has his goals set this year. And I get it, Oregon being in the Big Ten with Dylan Gabriel, remember the name, and their offense is incredible. Their defense is very good as well. Even Ohio State with Will Howard. And who is it? Jeremiah Smith, the freshman coming in, is supposed to be one of the best players, not even freshman, one of the best players in the country. And they got Judkins. Is it Judkins? I'm pretty sure it's Judkins. At running back. He's supposed to be one of the best running backs. I get it. Those teams are great. They're phenomenal. But Georgia's defense is always going to be good. And Carson Beck at this point, as a college quarterback, it feels like he's not getting talked about enough. We've talked about Jackson Dart. We've talked about the 2 guys I just named. We talked about Quinners. Talked about Jalen Milroe. Talked about Arch Manning. Talked about DJ Uiagalelei. Talked about all these guys. Just even Drew Aller for Penn State. We talk about these guys so much, and we really haven't talked about Georgia and Carson Beck. At least it feels like that's how it feels. Obviously, Georgia's getting all the love as the number 1 team, but it feels like just the names of other teams are being talked about much more than anybody on Georgia, to where they're being a little bit overlooked. And this could be one of the better teams that they've had. I mean, yeah, we're going off hindsight with all the draft picks that they've had between, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Deontay Wyatt, Keely Ringo, and the defenses of those years that were incredible. George Pickens as well was in there. But I don't know. I think Carson Beck is going to be very good this year. I think Georgia's going to be very good this year. And new conference, most likely the same old Oregon, where they get out to a lead, they play these big games, and especially when they get out to a lead, they love to blow those big leads. They love to choke a game. It's been happening for years and years and years, and I don't think a new coach is going to change that. I don't think a new quarterback is going to change that. I don't think a new conference is going to change that. It's just something about the Oregon Ducks that they always blow some kind of a lead. So I wouldn't even be surprised if in the national championship game they get up 21-7, 24-10, 24-7, something like that, going into halftime, and they end up losing that game. Would not be surprised at all. So, national champion, the Georgia Bulldogs, again, it just feels like, especially with Nick Saban out of there. And I do think Kalen DeBoer is going to be a good coach, but I think Alabama will just take a step back because they almost have to. I mean, they were great. What was it? They've never had 3 losses with Saban or something like that. So you get a new coach, you kind of have to expect at least a third loss. And if they go 10-2 again, whatever, then they're invincible. They're untouchable even without Saban. It's just Alabama is Alabama. So I'm going Kirby Smart is just going to solidify himself and Georgia as the new major powerhouse. And what would that be now? 3 titles in 4 years? That's a dynasty. That is a dynasty for Georgia. I think they get it done. I think Avery Johnson wins Heisman. I think the NC State Wolfpack make the college football playoff. If they don't, I think they will be just on the edge because I do believe they are one of the top 2 teams in the ACC. There's a lot going on. College football's back. Can't wait for even the games tonight. NC State plays tonight against Western Carolina. That's happening. You got Shedeur Sanders tonight. Dion, all that. It's going to be crazy. Week 1's going to be amazing. I can't believe Georgia Clemson is the first game at noon. That's going to be wild. I cannot wait for that. Thank you for joining on another episode of Believe in the Wolfpack, and we'll see you next time.